20 April 2017, a senior Nigerian pastor is arrested by the Hawks at the Port Elizabeth Airport on 32 criminal charges of rape, human trafficking, and racketeering. The most shocking thing is, despite all these heavy charges, this pastor is not found guilty and he's acquitted on all charges after spending about 8 years in prison. The question is, can we trust our justice system? Hello everyone, I'm Seho. Welcome to another episode of the Daily Nightshade, where we use visual storytelling to unpack criminal dealings and social deviance in our South African society. The big star of this episode is Pastor Omotoso, or as they call him, the Nigerian televangelist of the Jesus Dominion International Church. This episode includes talks about assault and rape, so if this is sensitive for you, I advise you to not watch the episode, or rather watch with caution. Now, let's not waste time and get on to it. Okay, now the question is, who is this Omotoso, and how is it even possible that this person has 32 charges and is not even found guilty on at least one charge? And on what basis was he acquitted? I mean, it sounds ridiculous, right? Let's first answer the first question. Who is Omotoso? Well, Timothy Omotoso is a Nigerian senior pastor who is 66 years of age. He has a church called Jesus Dominion International with branches across South Africa, and this church holds crusades all over the world. Omotoso is well known for his high-end cars, fashionable outfits, and distinctive sunglasses. yeah, that's a thing. He has expanded his small pop-up church in New Brighton to a multinational religious conglomerate over his 16 years in South Africa. Omotoso came to South Africa, Durban, in 2001. He then traveled to Port Elizabeth a year later, and apparently God told him to come to Port Elizabeth to save the causes. It is said that his mandate, or rather mission in life, is to restore people's faith in God, and he carried out this mission through the church. He has projects such as the Help the Helpless project, which helps the poor and underprivileged in society, and the Youth Empowerment Project, YEP, which aims to mentor and empower young people. The Youth Empowerment Project, the YEP, was also founded in South Africa. In this project, Omotoso mentored several musical groups such as Grace Galaxy and Simply Chrysolite. Additionally, he served as a mentor to individual musicians like Shogi Tosh, who has produced albums and written songs of his own. He got an award in the BAFTA Awards for Best International Act, where he was in the same category as Kelly Rowlands. I don't know him though, but he must be good at what he does. Anyways, Azikolapo, we're here with Omotoso, okay? Yeah. Omotoso also founded Ancient of Days Broadcasting Network, ABDN, a 24-hour satellite television network that broadcasts throughout the Caribbean, Africa, Mexico, the Middle East, Europe, and the United States. So you can see that we're dealing with a prominent figure. He also has his own TV show called Just As I Am, which airs on multiple networks and includes music, preaching, and sessions of miracles. Well, I would have been surprised if there was no miracle performances, with these pastors. And apparently he heals the sick. So one of his former congregants said that Omotoso miraculously healed him from diabetes and heart conditions. Well, I don't advise anyone to stop taking treatments because a pastor prayed for them and said they are all healed. You're little also. Anyways, I'm not really sure if this TV show is still being televised. Not sure if it's still airing. In addition to all that, he is the author of 2 books, A Prayer Bonanza and How to Enjoy Health, Wealth, and Longevity. And honestly, for someone as evil as he is, this is beyond ridiculousness, because what? Enjoying wealth which is acquired through other human suffering, through people's tears, I mean human trafficking? This is super diabolical, especially for someone that preaches about God. Enjoying longevity while other people's lives were cut short because of him. On top of it all, this pastor claims to know God personally. Yeah, he said he was taught by God to play the piano, the guitar, drums, and other musical instruments before the age of 10. I don't know if this is some sort of delusions of grandeur. I mean, well, he also said that he was born to restore people's faith in God. How ridiculous. Well, now let's talk about his criminal charges. It has been alleged that Omotoso began grooming and abusing children when they were 14 years old. On the 20th of April 2017, the Hawks, the South African Priority Crimes Team, arrested Omotoso at Port Elizabeth International Airport. Omotoso was charged with rape, human trafficking, sexual assault, and racketeering alongside the co-accused Lusanda Sulani and Zukiwa Sito. And these people are women, for starters. How do they even do that? For those that do not know what racketeering is, it refers to a set of illegal activities aimed at commercial profit that may be disguised as legitimate business deals. So in simple terms, it means dishonest, fraudulent business dealings. An example of his racketeering schemes is a municipal evaluation roll from 2011, which indicated that the homes Omotoso rents in Umhlanga Rocks were worth 2 million rands, and he is not even listed as the property owner on any of the records. So you can see how dodgy and fraudulent he is. Omotoso was initially facing 97 charges. This was then reduced to 63, then 32, and ultimately all charges were dismissed. It sounds crazy, right? I mean, how do you go from 97 charges to like not guilty, to like 0 charges, to nothing? Our justice system is clearly a joke. Omotoso was accused by the prosecution of abusing his position of power within the church to groom and mistreat young women, some of whom were as young as 14. The complainants stated that they were lured to Omotoso's residences, including those in Durban, where he allegedly abused them after they were assured of the material and spiritual benefits. So in 2018, Cheryl Zondi, a crucial witness, claimed that Omotoso had sexually assaulted her from when she was 14 years old. Her evidence garnered a lot of attention because the trial was shown live, which was very unusual for a significant rape case in South Africa. Attached is the video of the trial where Zondi was testifying against Omotoso. Defense?
And then he went on to probe me with the same questions he had been asking me over the phone, asking me about my non-existent love life, asking me how far I wanted him to go with me, asking me how close I wanted to be with him.
How did you understand that conversation? Or understand what he was telling you?
At this point, I was a little bit frustrated because I had run out of answers to give him. I had told him that I do not have a love life, that I want to be your daughter in Christ. Those are the words I used. I told him that I wanted him to train me like he had trained Simply Chrysolites.
In other words, you wanted him to mentor you.
Yes.
You told him that.
I made it clear.
You made it clear. Just continue. What happened then?
And then he made my answer, telling him that I wanted him to train me, seem like it's irrelevant. And then went on to further probe me with the same questions.
Seemed like it?
Seemed like it didn't matter, it did not matter. And then he went on to ask me the same questions. He saw that I was confused, because I was. And then he told me, it's fine, I don't want to confuse you. You can go now. So I stood up from the side of the bed, and then after I stood up, he quickly stood up and out of his covers. And then I saw that he was wearing boxers with the shirt. Stood in front of me, gave me a hug, and as I previously described, his hands were moving on my back, and then he pulled on my bra strap.
Right. And what did you think about that? About the way he hugged you, the way his hands were moving on the back, and the fact that he pulled your bra strap?
This hug was uncomfortably long and tight. Inappropriate contact for a pastor to have with someone he's supposed to be mentoring.
I'm not going to allow you back into the church. I'm trying to understand what you're saying, ma'am. Is that how you understood it?
That's how I understood it. And that's how he conveyed it.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Now we're on the same page.
Lovely.
You must either agree to do the same things again, or you can't join the church.
That's how I understood his message.
And you said okay.
I said okay.
And you offered no further protest.
No.
And you offered no further protest.
No.
Why not?
I mean, as I said to you before, I was now 19, and I managed to put myself in the exact same spot that caused me all of this trauma and all of this pain. So I felt defeated.
But you were not too scared to protest.
Yeah, until he shut me down and put me back in my place again.
All right.
The way he did.
Okay, you went to his room, the same thing happened again.
Yes.
Defense motions for a mistrial and judicial recusals caused the trial to be significantly delayed. In 2019, for example, Judge Mandela Makaula resigned due to a conflict of interest, and also the prosecution for the trial was changed. This explains why the trial ran over for almost 8 years. The trial was also delayed because Omotoso always claimed that he had health issues. Former prosecutor Mdantsane was accused of misconduct, including promoting perjury by defense lawyer Peter Doberman, who questioned the integrity of witnesses. Judge Schumann eventually found the accusations to be inflated, but acknowledged that they were irregular. On the 2nd of April 2025, Judge Schumann cleared Omotoso, Sulani, and Sito of all charges. The proceedings were held at the Eastern Cape High Court in Gqeberha. The main question is why? 32 charges, all cleared? There has to be a reason, right? Despite acknowledging flaws in the defense's argument, the judge found that the prosecution had not proven guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, citing or claiming poor cross-examination and prosecutorial misconduct. The verdict generated conflicting responses. Supporters of Omotoso rejoiced with the decision. I'm really shocked that he has supporters. Yeah, he does. Watch the video.
Well, absolutely, Stephen. But they were celebrating outside the Gqeberha High Court just for a brief moment. They've taken the celebrations to the church, which is one of the churches that was closed during the earlier years when Timothy Omotoso had been apprehended, arrested in April 2017 and brought in 2018. But from what we've seen is that the church had reopened afterwards, and the congregants had continued to go to church as well as attending that trial, supporting Timothy Omotoso during the 8 years, as well as his co-accused Lusanda Solani and Zukiswa Sito. Now, also, Stephen, now looking at the judgment that was handed down by Judge Irma Schoonman, is that she focused on the key factors, and one of those defining factors that she spoke about.
Maloma on X said, Omotoso supporters are no different than Bushiri supporters. All bunch of losers and enablers. And honestly, I agree with her, because how can you support someone who is facing so many criminal charges? I mean, it's not one, but 32. You cannot honestly believe that the person is innocent on all accounts. Where there's smoke, there's certainly fire. And yeah, I know. Innocent until proven guilty. And now, the ruling is out, he's not guilty. But listen, there's more than what meets the eye. We're only here at this point because our justice system has failed us. While on the other hand, victims' advocates like Zondi expressed shock regarding this ruling, and he highlighted larger issues with handling sexual abuse in South Africa. Political parties like the EFF showed support for the survivors and expressed their disappointment on the failure of the justice systems for survivors. And the nerve of this pastor, let me tell you, 1 week after being acquitted from his charges, he announced that he will be going on a crusade in East London. I mean, how can you be more shameless? Anyways, the mayor of Buffalo City has cancelled all his bookings.
There was a poster of Omotoso that was going around social media and residents not being happy. As you can remember, there has been a public outcry on the morality in terms of Pastor Omotoso. There was, in terms of his character and the ruling of the court. So communities were really complaining. For us as Buffalo City, is an issue of public morality and perspective, and the issue of Omotoso remains questionable in terms of his character. So we had to take those issues into consideration, especially if there can be public unrest in Buffalo City. So we had to protect the people of Buffalo City.
But my question is, why is this person still in the country? Why has he not been deported yet? And I'm not the only person who thinks this. I'm not the only person who's asking this question. A post on X reads, the Department of Home Affairs has confirmed that the controversial Nigerian pastor Timothy Omotoso has not been deported after his acquittal on multiple charges, including sexual assault and human trafficking. What are you waiting for? What is the Minister of Home Affairs waiting for? Another post on X reads, the South African government must declare the fake Pastor Timothy Omotoso as an undesirable person and deport him back to Nigeria. Why isn't he performing his miracles where he comes from? Another post reads, breaking news, the Nigerian pedophile prophet and priest Timothy Omotoso is going on a victory crusade in East London. At Home Affairs SA announced the deportation of Timothy Omotoso, but like all deportations, they're fooling us South Africans. You get pseudo-deportation ticket and the next day you're back in South Africa raping young girls and selling drugs. We are fooled by @MyANC all the time. Now back to the question, why is he not yet deported? Well, apparently the NPA spokesperson Luxolo Jali said on the day Omotoso was cleared, a Home Affairs official was supposed to arrest him immediately after court. However, the official arrived too late to make the arrest. Wow. Wow, okay. Yeah, the things that we see in this country. And whilst other political parties are standing with the survivors, some are clearly not. It is alleged that Thembawele, a member of the MK party, has criticized the Buffalo City Metro for blocking Nigerian pastor Timothy Omotoso from hosting an 8-day crusade at a facility owned by the city. Bro, what? Every time I'm shook. You know, these supporters... Let me just keep quiet. Cheryl Zondi, one of the witnesses and survivors in this case, had something to say about this.
Cheryl Zondi breaks her silence.
How on earth can we expect to have a functional society when the justice system, who is supposed to defend us, is not defending us?
What's your faith like today?
I had to actively tell myself that, it's this is someone who's misrepresenting God.
You can find the full interview on YouTube, and I have attached the link. I honestly agree and sympathize with her. I sympathize with all the women in our country, including myself. I mean, in a country where we have high GBV and rape cases, where GBV is literally a pandemic, where every day we advocate for women's rights and safety, I am disappointed. I am extremely disappointed because the law did not serve its cause. It is disheartening to see how the South African law is not standing with women and children. In my opinion, this case was supposed to be used to show that the hand of justice is long and women and children are protected by the law. However, it showed us that Omotoso is above the law. In this case, justice was delayed for 8 years. We conclude by saying justice has been denied. One of the many posts on X say, I believe Cheryl Zondi. I also want to say to all the women whose voices were unheard, women who were told that they are lying, I want you to know that the Deadly Nightshade believes you and supports you. I'm sorry that as a country we've come to a point where our own law and society doesn't support us. As women, we can't even trust the law. We can't trust the justice system. This case perpetuates prejudice against women and children. Because of this, victims of abuse will no longer have the courage to open charges against the perpetrators because they'll be like, what's the use? I know the law is not on my side, so why should I bother? Judge Schumann, your ruling has made us hopeless. You have failed us. You and the system have failed us. That's it from me. Let me know what you think in the comments. Be safe. See you on the next episode.